as more players hit the podium, we'll get you those press conferences here on the association. Two things stood out to me on Tobias Harris's comments, Chris. Number one, he said, hey, the Orlando series, that was something they were able to take away. And he made reference, and I think it was in a respectful way, about this Cavs team being a good team. There's a reason why they're here. You make an argument, stylistically, say what you want about it. Cavaliers are a better team than the Orlando Magic. We saw it in the regular season. I don't know. I'm not necessarily saying they're a better matchup for them, but sell me on why Pistons fans should be pretty confident. I asked Q in one of our breaks, I'm like, yo, you like Detroit? And emphatically, he likes the Pistons in this series. Sell me on this squad, though.
Well, I like the Pistons in this series because they're a physical team. Cleveland doesn't want to play physical. Like, they don't have the personnel that you think of that's going to go out there and hit you in the mouth and try to do it again. That's the Pistons DNA. And you look at, you know, you saw the highlight clips of this game. You see it, like, the defenders, they were getting all up in them. They were crowding them, weren't giving them space. There was very little separation that the Cleveland Cavaliers, I'm talking about James Harden, even Donovan Mitchell, that they could generate. That just showed you how fully engaged they were with their defensive tenacity. And so I think if they have that mentality going through the rest of this series, it's going to be a pretty tough series for the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Q, can I play devil's advocate here? If I'm a Cavaliers fan and I'm watching the association, I'm like yelling at the TV. We got 19 turnovers leading to 31 points. Can't get much worse than that. We got a Pistons team that had more than double the amount of free throw attempts in a game. We saw Detroit hit 2 buzzer beater threes at the end of quarters. And with about a minute to go, we're talking about a 2-possession game. Like, it feels like they're kind of like knocking on the door here. Like, there was a path for Cleveland to steal this game.
No, yeah, I mean, it wasn't as lopsided as the score looks like. A 10-point win, like Coach Atkinson said. At one point, it was 93-93. They allowed the offensive rebound off the free throw and then the 3. The avalanche after that. But I mean, the Cavs, you gotta, you know, obviously you lost the game, but there's some positive takeaways from it, and you see some things that work. But I mean, at the end of the day, like, to me, it's gonna come down to like Chris was saying earlier. Is Jared Allen and Mobley gonna be able to play together? Is he gonna be able to stay out of foul trouble? And then once it got late, it was kind of like we had been doing what we were doing, so they didn't really come back with Allen because he was kind of out of it at that point. So I think that I don't think they're going to be more physical, but I think that size can make a difference on the interior for Cleveland.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think also when you think about Detroit, you know, they didn't play particularly well in the offensive end. Cade Cunningham hit timely key shots, but he was 6 of 19 from the field, so they can look at it like they played better. And another thing, we're talking about Cleveland. You could say, well, Cleveland had 20 turnovers. Well, defense, I mean, Detroit
made that happen.
Yeah, Detroit made that happen. It wasn't just like careless turnovers. Detroit took it. So they're going to have to play offensively, play more physical. That means securing the ball. That means taking it right to their chest on a drive, initiating some offense, because the free throw line, Detroit got to the free throw line 35 times to Cleveland 16 times. So oftentimes that means you're settling for jump shots too much. So you're going to have to get to the hole, generate some contact, and try to muck the game up.
All right, so the backcourt with Mitchell and Harden, they combined for 10 of those turnovers. To be fair, Harden had 7 of them. Take me when you're on the floor, defending him. What did you see Detroit do? What do you want to try to accomplish when Harden's out on?
You don't want him to get his rhythm. I mean, you especially when he's in that ISO, tween, dribble. You gotta poke at it. You gotta jab at it. You can't allow him to get comfortable and get his rhythm. So I think they were doing that, man. They were pushing up, pressuring up on him, guys getting up under him and trying to get into his chest and make it difficult. I mean, anybody who knows Harden, that's his deal. If he gets to get comfortable and get into his rhythm and rock you to sleep and do all of his step backs and all that, you know, get deflections and touches on the ball. So, I mean, if they're going to continue to do that for him, it's going to be difficult. Now, he is Harden. He still can weather that and figure things out. But they did what they were supposed to do today. They were aggressive with him, and they didn't let him get comfortable.
I want to see Harden, when he's creating or initiating offense, I want to see him go to score. A lot of times I felt like he was trying to draw a foul.
Yeah.
And there were certain times where I felt like me and Q was watching it. Like, there was certain times, especially one second half, it might have been the fourth quarter, where he had a baseline drive. He got past Cade, but then he tried to create some contact, didn't get the call, then ended up shooting a wild shot. And so I want to see him look to score more. Not look to get to the free throw line, look to score.
Yeah, one guy who also was pretty effective getting to the bucket was Donovan Mitchell. Goes for 23 points. He's just getting to the podium right now. Let's bring it to you here on the Association.
The Don.
Oh, yeah.
Donovan, at times during the Toronto series,
Thing. Been the entire series, and it's frustrating a little bit, but because I'm supposed to play, and we were getting downhill to score, but we weren't getting stops. So if we get stops, and when those points are that we're scoring, and whether it's the invert pick and rolls, whether it's the floaters, it's J.A. at the rim or at the float, Dean on a three, it looks and feels a little different. But when they keep scoring, it just, it's one of those things. So he's got to find a balance and. Like I said, just take my looks. I mean, when you play a team like this, he's instrumental to what we do defensively, right? So 3 fouls in the first quarter, it's tough. He only played 18 minutes. And, their bigs are tough. They on the boards, Cade's getting downhill, trying to find ways to contest. And we've seen it all year with him, right? So it's definitely tough to not have him out there on the floor. But even in those situations, maybe if next game that's in foul trouble, right? We still, as a collective, got to find a way together to either get stops, rebound, or protect the rim in any way we can.
James, you guys could talk collectively about trying to limit the turnovers, or you could try to live with them. Do you think these turnovers are something that are correctable?
Yep. 1,000,000%.
What do you think?
Some of them are, like Don just said, you look within first, and you look at my turnovers, and a lot of them were just on me, and nothing they did. So, and which led to I don't even know how many transition points they had, but it was way too many. And I mean, if I had to put my print on one thing on the game, that's the game right there. I mean, how many points they had in transition? Off our turnovers?
20,
There you
31.
go. That's the game. Like, it's nothing else. Like we talked about last year, you get a shot on glass, even half of that, and it's a different ball game. So, for me, I got to be better, and I will be better turning the basketball over. From turning the basketball over, getting shots up, and then it gives our defense a chance to get back and get set. I think we did it. Other than that, we played a pretty solid game.
And then Donovan, there's been a lot of talk, at least today, about the familiarity between the teams. The way they defended you tonight, did you see any staples of the way JB ran defense when he was here? Like, it was the way they defended you, was it familiar?
Me or the group?
You. What you saw tonight.
Yeah, it's kind of like when Isaac was here. You know what I mean? It's kind of like that type with Thompson. You know what I mean? So yes, there's some familiarity, and they're a really good defensive team. But at the end of the day, you still got to find ways to be productive. But you know what I mean? Yeah, it definitely feels a little similar, but Thompson's a hell of a defender. So is Jenkins and all these guys. They play great team defense as well. So just got to find ways to be productive throughout.
Donovan, Kenny talked about just the energy level maybe not being there tonight and feeling like they were the aggressors. Mm-hmm. What role do you play in sort of making sure game 2 that's not an issue and the energy is there and you guys kind of throw that first punch?
Yeah, I mean, just understanding that they're going to throw a punch. They're at home. This isn't like, this is a situation where we know this team and we both played a game 7. So for me, just keeping it cool, collected, trying to be aggressive. Like, obviously, shots were going in to start, trying to bound my way to get downhill, being in the passing lanes, trying to be on the boards, communicating in huddles, communicating on the floor. Those are the little things you can do, right? And go from there. And even though we spotted them 16 points in the first quarter, you know what I mean? So, that in itself is tough to come back from, right? So understanding that, hey, they took care of home court game 1. That's all this is. We got to find a way to steal game 2.
And then, James, when you're having a performance where there's a lot of turnovers, your shots maybe not falling, but then you come out in that fourth quarter and sort of are put the catalyst for the comeback that you guys made, how have you kind of learned throughout your career to just kind of compartmentalize that stuff and not let it impact you as you get deeper in the game to still have an impact?
You get different stints of the game. And one stint, you might come out and play the best basketball ever. You might hit every shot. And then you might come out and not make any shots. You know what I mean? It's like you had even kill the entire game. Like, this game is so this game is it's a long game. It's long quarters, it's long games, it's a long series. So, you know, I'm luckily I've been in a situation a lot to where I know how to like just, you know, balance, collect myself and go out there and just understand what they're doing and how can I be effective. And, you know, I did that in the fourth quarter. So different series, you know what I mean? Like first quarter, we spot them 16 points. We give them 31 points, you know, off our turnovers in transition. Like, that's the game, you know, and we watch film, we figure out our spacing, things like that, but you don't turn the basketball over and, you know, get off to a better start. And we still tied the game up twice, you know, in the fourth quarter with 5 minutes to go. So, you know, simple.
James, you've talked about reading the game and reading situations and things like that. For you, what is the pass-shoot balance? What are you looking for in that kind of situation?
Possession by possession. Possession by possession. Like I'm not, you know, like if I need to go out there and score 30, like if that's the game is dictating that, then, you know, I go out there and score 30 or whatever the case may be. If the game is dictating, you know, what, like the game dictates what I go out there and do, you know what I mean? So, and that's, you know, tonight, fourth quarter was, you know, a little bit more aggressive. So just figuring out, you know, this is a different series, a different team. So just figuring out what they're doing, what they're trying to take away, and then, you know, counterpunching and be ready to go for game 2. But luckily for me, I'm not just a scorer. You know, I impact the game in a variety of ways. So, you know, that's a plus and a benefit for myself. But, you know, as a team, I think we'll all play better. We'll watch film and we'll get better for game 2.
And then for either one of you guys, you held Cade to 6 of 19 from the field. What do you make of the defensive effort, and what does it take throughout the remainder of the series?
It's pretty good. It can be a lot better. I mean, obviously we know, you know, who Cade is and what he's capable of and what he's been doing. And, you know, it's not just one person's job. It's all of our job to, you know, make it difficult on him. You know, not just him, but his entire team. But we know, you know, he is the head of the snake. So, you know, we got to be better figuring out, you know, ways that we can make it more difficult for him and more difficult for, you know, Duncan Robinson with 5'3", like, you know, things like that, to where we can control it. And we do that, we'll have a, you know, a better chance in game 2. But we still gave ourselves a chance, you know, with you know, all the things for like we didn't do right. You know, I don't feel like we played well at all tonight, and we gave ourselves a chance, which is a positive. So. Unfortunately, in the playoffs, you don't really get, you know, you lose, like it's you win or you lose. You know, you don't really get reward points for, you know, losing and not playing well. So, different outcome for game 2.
Okay, all right. Yeah. Harden putting it in context. A game 1 defeat, 111-101 at the hands of the Pistons. Thompson 11, 8, and 5. Defensively, I saw some really good moments. Boy, that guy is an athlete.